Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, September 1st. Welcome to September. 9 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. Two coronal mass ejections within 10 hours of each other are creating a Cannibal CME here, headed our way. Impact expected in 24 hours. So look up tomorrow night for the expected aurora. Keep calm. It's boom time. Monsoon storms bring rain, wind, and hail to Utah. It's a deluge. St. George was pretty much the bullseye. Southern Utah was lit up by electrical storms, and an encore is expected today and this evening. Take a look.
Thursday night.
Oh, we don't need to listen to that guy. Now, update on Idalia, Horseshoe Beach hell. Idalia's wrath leaves the tiny Florida town's home's history in ruins. Let's take a look at this short video, and our thoughts, our hearts, and our prayers go out to the folks affected in this region.
For the first time, I heard things bang into the house. I mean, at that level, there were flying objects in the air that were hitting the house. But we have whole houses that are gone that are in the Gulf of Mexico. I've had water under the house, maybe 2 foot, 3 foot, but that's a rare occasion. So when they start talking about category 2, 3, or whatever, and 12 to 15 foot surge, yeah, okay.
Scattered everywhere. I was born and raised, commercial fishing, shrimping, blue crab, and whatever. Come back out here, and about 15 or 20 minutes later, I'm down there in the water, knee deep in the yard, up on the front bumper of my truck. I said, "Hell, Self, you better get the hell out of Dodge." And that's when I got ready to pull out of him. Everything I had in there, the walls blowed out, the furniture all soaked and messed up.
You'll be able to save your house at all? Just had it.
Sad stories coming out of Horseshoe Beach, Florida. This guy claims that his house has had it, the water all the way up, into the first floor here. And the cleanup is continuing as the Atlantic is heating up. Take a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 named storms, 6 potential. Holy macaroni. All of these systems are going to be moving up towards the UK, including Idalia and Gert. So no threat to the mainland currently. Heavy rainfall potential for the southwest, which is good news. Take a look at the flash flood warnings out here for, it looks like western Arizona and southwestern Utah. So those are going to be the hardest hit, as well as the desert here in eastern California, southeastern California. Monsoonal flow will increase moisture across the southwest, where heavy rainfall could result in flash flooding through at least today. Meanwhile, dry and breezy conditions will raise wildfire concerns for portions of the central and southern plains as record heat builds once again across the Midwest and into the mid-Atlantic region this holiday weekend into early next week. I can tell you out here in the Four Corners, it is cool. It is cooling down over the next few days. And that is not what I want to have up here. You can see that moisture down here in that region will be moving out after a few pop-up storms over the evening and will make its way out on Monday. Now, good news for Lake Mead. The water continues to rise, especially after the tropical deluge, which was dumped over the desert southwest, and it looks like it's spiking today vertically. So the lake has exceeded the 2022 levels and has now risen 20 feet above 2022, now approaching the 2021 levels. If it continues to rise like this, it may exceed all of the data sets here on the graph, meaning that the lake level would be higher than all the way back in 2018, which is good news for Lake Mead and the fishery and the habitat, well, and the water. Seismic update, biggest quake of note here, 6.1 in the Kuril Islands, the southern tip of the Kamchatka. Worldwide earthquake activity pretty normal. As we take a close look at Iceland, seismicity is moderate at best. But we did have a 3 magnitude on the Reykjanes Peninsula earlier today. And it was drawn to my attention about a Jokulips ongoing. This is where Grimsvotn and Bartabunga, the Meadisjökull Glacier, there is a flood in Skafta. So there has been some volcanic activity underneath of the glacier, which causes large volumes of water to melt, and that gets outburst into these huge glacial floods. You can see here the output in the normal output in the river goes from about 110 cubic feet per second to over 600 quite rapidly. So that's a glacial outburst flood. It's coming from the edge here of the glacier, so it melts under here where the volcano is. It then makes its way through a tunnel under the ice and blasts out into the Skafta river here. So this is an ongoing Jokulips, which means there is volcanic activity underneath of that glacier, and we'll keep a close eye on it for you. Space weather news, long duration flare and CME from the departing sunspot here. So solar Earth-facing quiet is king, and these sunspots only tend to flare in big ways when they're on the limb, which is good news for us because the worst thing we need right now is grid down. Now, this long-duration M1.2 solar flare was observed in the early hours of September 1st. It is going to be combining with the filament release from earlier that day and could bring us some pretty spectacular geomagnetic storms in just about 24 hours. There's the plasma filament release, the secondary CME. They're now cannibalized, meaning the second one is faster than the first. They meet up and they join forces as they come towards Earth. What should we expect? Low-level geomagnetic storm. I would expect up to KP 6 or 7. The current forecast is just KP 5, G1 geomagnetic storm, but we could get to G2 or even G3 in my opinion. It all depends on the nature of the plasma and the direction it's coming. Now, a daring space mission aims to stop the threat emanating from the sun. What? Apparently, India knows more than our own government, and they are sending up spacecraft to study the sun. On Saturday, September 2nd, an Indian space research organization spacecraft will commence a 1.5 million kilometer trek to beam home a humongous amount of details on the sun's activities. According to ISRO, the payloads are expected to provide crucial information to understand the problems of solar phenomena, such as heating of the outermost layer of the sun's atmosphere, the corona, the ejection of magnetic field and plasma from the corona, which is technically called a coronal mass ejection, which we've just seen here, 2 of them over the last few days, and as well as solar flares and pre-flare activity and their characteristics, space weather dynamics, and the study of the propagation of particles and fields into the space between planets. So fantastic mission coming from India once again after they just landed on the south pole of the moon. And that's a boom. CBD for heart disease, benefits, side effects, and treatment. The good news is that they are lowering cannabis to Schedule 3, hopefully federally, which means that research can actually be done on this most important plant medicine. Now, research into CBD is new, but it may carry useful anti-inflammatory properties that are beneficial for your overall heart health. And that's good news because CBD is cheap and it has no long-term side effects. It is one of the main cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant. Unlike THC, which gets you high, CBD is not psychoactive, meaning it's safe to take every day and won't affect your performance. So more studies are needed, but the benefits for heart disease is clear, as well as COVID, by the way. An ancestral bottleneck took out nearly 99% of the human population about 800,000 years ago. Only 1,280 breeding individuals may have existed at this dramatic era in human history. And we're going to discuss it tomorrow on the radio show over at revolution.radio, noon Mountain Time in Studio B. And this has everything to do with cosmic catastrophe, cosmic rays and magnetic reversals. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share this video as it's free and it helps with the algorithm. Become a Patreon, support the work we do, watch all of our content commercial free in one place, and be safe. We love you. And that is boom.